Good morning. I hope you enjoyed my PowerPoint presentation on the 1970s era. I believe my secondary research was of particular relevance to the 1970s era and how it changed the face of fashion. In my research, I highlighted how women in the 1970s and other marginalised groups at the time fought for change. But government barriers to changing these social issues left people feeling let down by politics, and people began living the life they wanted, not the life society wanted them to. Thanks to such protests such as the Ladies' Home Journal sit-in 1970, women were now telling society what they wanted to be reading about and how they want to be perceived in magazines. The fight for women's equality in the 1970s and all the changes of how women were seen in society at the time had a huge effect on women's fashion. Fashion changed. Gender roles and trends blurred. Women now knew what they wanted and weren't afraid to wear it or show it. In my opinion, the 1970s was one of the most significant decades of revolutionary fashion for women. Another research topic relevant to the 1970s was environmentalism. This was a big issue in the 1970s and the reason of many protests and how humans were affecting the environment and people. Through these protests, environmental awareness began and the Green Movement started. The legacy of the 1970s Green Movement continues today. Its influence resonates with many business practices, not only in fashion, but in worldwide industries. The changes in people's concerns for the world and the laws passed because of it have not only had a major effect in fashion and how companies both manufacture and dispose of their waste, etc., they have changed our lives for the better as we now live in a cleaner, more sustainable environment. Now looking at my primary research findings from the I.B. Jorgensen exhibit. This wedding dress from 1977 features large amounts of honeycomb smocking and made from a paper taffeta fabric, holding its shapes and manipulations well, which worked in the 70s as experimental techniques were on trend. This black evening dress from 1976 has a historic look to it, but is brightened up by its frilly neckline made out from velvet. Velvet was a popular fabric in the 70s. This grey ensemble from 1976 is a tunic-style long top with large silk appliqued water lily. Hand-applied flowers to garments were very popular in the 70s as hippies wanted to make their clothing unique. This black and cream printed dress from 1975, with its historic puffed out sleeves and squared neckline, came back into style in the 70s as the prairie style dress was made popular by designers such as Laura Ashley. This belted wool coat from 1972 is a very classy wool coat. As environmental issues were a hot topic in the 70s, natural fibres such as wool were popular used in coats. This Quaker-inspired hand smock dress from 1978 has a large collar as the main focus. Large collars were a big fashion trend in the 70s and were applied to any garment to add a main feature. As I have just discussed, I believe all my research findings are extremely relevant to the 1970s era topic and prove how the 1970s was a turbulent yet revolutionary time in society and in turn changed fashion. Trends and practices changed and they're still evident to this day. The 1970s definitely was an era of individuality and equality. Thank you, and I hope you enjoyed my presentation and I look forward to hearing from you.